Hey, and welcome back. This is lesson 2 of the Designing with Type course. And today we're going to design a logo, or it could be a sign, but we're going to take some more advanced techniques and put them together to design a very nice looking retro design. Let's begin with a rectangle. So clear out my color on that. Second here. One of the things that I dislike about Inkscape is it remembers the last thing you did in the last design. It could have been yesterday, it could have been 2 years ago, but it always knows the last thing you did and it kept them. So I clear that stuff out here. And the other thing that I don't like about Inkscape, I really love Inkscape, but it's got its foibles, is right up here on this toolbar. That is the snapping feature, and I don't like that at all. So that stuff all cleared out. Now let's get started with the rectangle tool. I'm going to click and drag here and make a rectangle about like that. Then I'm going to get the ellipse tool, and I'm going to create an ellipse about like that. Now I'm going to Control+A to select all. I'm bringing up the Align and Distribute palette by clicking here. Now I'm going to, this is important, not relative to page, which, okay, that could work for this situation, but I don't want that. We'll just choose last selected. I want it centered right to left, and then I also want it centered horizontally, and there we go. Okay, now that those are just aligned, we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to bring up the path menu here, and I'm going to select Union. And hey, you know what, that doesn't look quite right. Let's try that again. Bringing that alignment palette back up, let's select all, and I don't think that got aligned properly. Aha! This is important to note. I'm glad this happened. See this treat selection as group? I'm going to uncheck that. Now let's try this. There we go. Things are working like they should. Okay, now I'm going to go to the path menu and I'm going to select Union. And that's a nice looking shape. That would make a very nice retro sign, but I wouldn't be able to show you some more advanced techniques if I left it like that, could I? So we're going to get the Node Edit tool here. I'm going to select these two nodes by dragging a box around them. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select these two nodes also by dragging a box around them. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes selected. How do I know they're selected? Well, they changed this interesting blue and yellow right there. So I'm going to press the Delete key on the keyboard, and look at that. Now that is stylish, has a very retro look to it. I'm going to take this just a little bit further by stylizing it some more. I'm going to click right here in the center of this path, hold down my mouse button, and drag to the left just a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. I'm going to drag that to just over a little bit. And that's where you have to eyeball it, okay? It might not be exactly perfect, but as long as you get it really close, not a lot of people are going to notice. Okay? And one thing you can do is you can select both of those nodes, and then you can come back over here to your Align and Distribute palette, and you can click this object right here, and that will be sure that the two of those are aligned and that you didn't accidentally get them out of whack in any way. That's a technical design term. Out of whack, as opposed to being in whack, which is what they are now. Okay, let's deselect. I'm pressing the Escape key a couple of times. And hey, we've got ourselves a really nice looking shape there. It's ready for some type. So without further ado, let's grab our Type tool. That's the tool with the A on it right over here. Now I'm going to come over to my page. I'm going to click once, and I'm going to type the word. First, I'm going to put on the caps lock key, and then I'm going to type buttermilk. right. Then I'm going to come up here to the font style or typeface style menu, as I prefer to call it, and I'm going to choose Great Lakes. Nice vintage looking font there. Now, one thing to note about the typefaces or fonts that I'm using today, first here we have Great Lakes, and the other one we'll choose is called Deftone Stylus. Those are both available from 1001fonts.com, and the links should be or will be in the description. All right, that said, let's move along. I'm going to grab my arrow tool, move that right up here, and with the control key held down, I'm going to resize this. I'm holding down the control key to constrain my proportions. I try not to make a habit of deforming or distorting typefaces if I can. I believe that each individual letter is a work of art and shouldn't be distorted if at all possible. Now that I've just said that, we're going to distort some type a little bit. What I want is I want some type to fit right here and right here. And one way to do that is to put type on a path. That can be cumbersome, and it's a really advanced technique. Rather than that, I'm going to show you a shortcut. Let's get some type first, though. I'm going down here to my type tool. I click on my page, and I want the words, I want a capital on that. Let's turn off the caps lock. I want the words always, fresh. Okay. Next, I'm going to, I don't know why I do that. I'm going to go back down to the text tool, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to change my typeface. And the typeface I'm using here is called Deftone Stylus. So let's find that one. Now here's a trick I might not have shown you, I don't remember. Since I know the name of the typeface I want to use, I can just start typing it, and look at that. That's pretty convenient. All right, so now we have our type, and let's put it in position and get its size. Now I could put it right there and make it a little bit smaller, right? And that looks nice, but I think it'd look a lot nicer if it arced or arched up into the shape there. So next thing I want to do is, so that I can have the top and bottom type the same size, I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to move that one down there, and I'm going to triple click on it, and that's going to give me my edit cursor there, and I'm going to change that to tasty. Okay, always fresh, always tasty is what I want. Okay, now that we have those, I'm going to close that align palette, and I'm going to go up here to the paths palette, and I'm going to choose path effects. Now I've done this on purpose. You'll see that everything is grayed out here in the path effects window. That's because this is not a path. This is still text. So we're going to go up to the path menu, and we're going to choose object to path. You'll note now that the path effects window here has brightened up, and now we have options. I love options. Let's click the plus button there, and bend is already selected because that's the last one I used when I was creating this tutorial. But you can see there's a lot of fun in here. We'll get to those in other tutorials, but for now we want bend. Select that, and then you'll see that your path effects palette has brightened up here, and we have all kinds of options. We're going to click this odd looking shape here. Actually, it should look familiar. See? See? Aha! So we're going to click on that one, and then now you have a path across there. So now if I edit this path, it's going to edit the shape of the text also. So I'm going to get right in the center there. Now that's important. Right in the center, and drag that up just a little bit there. All right, being sure to get it in the middle. Hey, that looks pretty snazzy. Look at that. Now we're just going to move that down a little bit. What do you think of that? All right, let's do that again for the bottom text. Again, see how it's grayed out? We need to go to Path, Object Path, Then we'll click on the plus button, select bend, click add, choose the edit on canvas option. Then we're going to be sure we're in the center of that line and then drag that down. Right? Try to get it about the same. All right. And then we'll drag that up and into place. Look at that. Okay, now let's put away the path effects window. We don't need it anymore. We're going to bring back up our Align and Distribute Objects panel. What we're going to do now is going to select all. And then let's do this option here, Center on Vertical Axis, to get everybody nice and aligned. Perfect symmetry there. That always looks nice. Okay, next. That looks great. It really does. But it needs something else. So I think it would be nice to have this border repeat itself. So let's click on the outside path there. And this is a new technique. We're going to go up to the path menu and choose Dynamic Offset. Now, actually, no, let's not do that. Let's back up just a bit. I want to duplicate this, and then I'll do that. What do you think of that? Okay. Oh, by the way, duplicate is Control-D, or you can go up to the Edit menu and choose Duplicate. Hey, that looks pretty neat. I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Just for the sake of design, let's put some color in here just to get a look at it, okay? So I'm going to bring up, how about that color? And then I'll make my text, how about orange? And then how about a black stroke on there? Okay, hold down the Shift key when you select a color, and that will change the color of the stroke on the object. I'm going to bring up my Colors and Strokes palette here. And stroke style, let's increase that just a tad. All right, now I'm going to click on this right here. I'm going to send it to the back there, and I'm going to add some color, pressing the Escape key a couple of times to deselect. Looks good. Now that we have our finished design, we're ready to pre-flight this so we can take it to the design software. To do that, we're going to go up to the View menu and choose Display Mode, Outline. This reveals a few problems that we're going to have when we get into our cut software. The first one that you'll see is that the buttermilk here is still black while all the other type is outlined. The reason for that is that the word buttermilk is still type and has not been converted to outlines or to a path. Let's go first and select the type, then we'll go to Path, Object to Path. Now that that is an outline, then we won't have any problem with it. It will cut just fine. Next, let's come up here to the words Always Fresh. Now, one thing that you won't be able to see is that even though this looks like an object ready to cut here in Inkscape, when we export this to the DXF file, the special effect that we've applied won't transfer. So we have to convert this and the effect to an object again. So let's go to here first. I'll show you what happens when I ungroup. See that? How it goes back to its native format. Okay. So what we'll do is I just undid that, Control-Z. We'll go to Path, Object to Path, and then Object, Ungroup. All right, let's try that again. We'll go to Path, Object to Path, and then Object, Ungroup. Then, without deselecting, we'll go to Path, Union, and that'll bring those all together. Then we'll go down here and we'll repeat that. We'll go to Path, Object to Path, then we'll go to Object, Ungroup, then we'll go to Path, Union. Okay. And then once you do that, What I will do is I will zoom in. I'm going to hold down Control and use the scroll wheel away from me. Now I'm holding down the scroll button on the mouse, and I like to just take a look at where each of those letters came together, and just be sure there's not any strange shapes or odd connections or nodes or anything in there. They're all looking pretty good. Okay, pressing the 4 key so I can see the entire image there. So that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go to the File menu. I'm going to choose Save As. I'm going to select Desktop Cutting Plotter, DXF, and I'm just going to leave that Buttermilk 2. Give it a second here. Okay, these are the options you want. Clicking OK. Now it's asking me to replace because I already had one there, so I'm going to hit Replace. Then I'm going down to the Silhouette software, which I already have open. I'm going to choose Open, and I'm going to choose my file. Click OK. OK. Now, I thought that might happen. Sometimes when you bring in a DXF file, it will appear as though nothing has happened, but what has actually happened is it is up here off of the page somewhere. So just do a Select All, drag that down onto your page, and then I'm going to resize this just so that it makes it a little easier to work with. And now you can see your individual cut file. Looks good. Hey, enjoy. I hope you've learned something. Feel free to give me some feedback and tell me what you'd like to learn next. Take care.